Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to what is our first ever episode. Yeah, super excited for this one. Today is going to be pretty quick. It's going to be an introduction episode, really. Why have I started the podcast, the purpose of the podcast, and what to expect in the future. My name is Harrison, and this is the Growth Voyage podcast. Enjoy. Okay, why have I started this? I should mention it is something that I have wanted to do for a while. It's always been on my mind, but just due to life circumstances, really, haven't quite allocated the time necessary to do it. But I'm fortunate now where I'm in the position where I can dedicate the time to do it, which is really cool. And regarding the theme of the podcast, I was especially keen to focus on this observation that I've had, particularly in the last year or two, potentially longer, of young men in particular, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, or even beyond. And they're in this growth phase, if you will. You can also call it a transitional phase or a self development phase, anything like that, where they are looking to transform their life, if you will. Perhaps they are leaving an older social circle or an older habits or an older lifestyle, really, and they're navigating this path that they've designed for themselves, but they're not quite where they want to be yet. And I feel like for a lot of people, this path can be quite lonely for some. It often feels like for a lot of people, they are looking to make these big developments and big changes in their life, but they might not necessarily be sure how to navigate it. And like I said, I think for a lot of people, it can be they can feel quite alone. They can feel quite alone because they're not quite where they want to be yet. They're not quite sure who to speak to. They're not quite sure how to really navigate life, really. This sort of growth voyage, which is the name of the podcast. I feel like we're all on this growth voyage and we can all lose our way along that. I've been quite fortunate myself to meet people from lots of different backgrounds. Some have been, some may say, have been dealt a really good card in life, but then somewhere along that journey they've lost their way. Other people have come from nothing and they've sort of built themselves up, but then they're also facing challenges. And I think the universal theme is no matter what your background is or where you came from, I think everyone at some point can lose their way along this growth voyage, if you will. And yeah, I feel like this subset of people, of young men in particular, even though they can feel quite alone during this process, I feel like that group of people is actually very, very big. And so I thought, well, why not create a platform where I can have really cool conversations with people at different stages along that journey, whether they've designed their own business or whether they have perhaps dropped out of university and finding that next step. Perhaps they are pursuing their passion now, or perhaps they just have no idea what exactly they want to do. And I feel like, if not everyone, the majority of people are still sort of navigating that and they're not quite sure what next steps to take. And I feel as though being able to speak to people at different levels, if you will, or at different stages along that journey, it can help people realize, okay, cool, I'm not the only person who thinks like this, or I'm not the only person having these doubts or these struggles or these challenges. And I feel as though that's really important, especially in the digital age, for a number of reasons. First of all, I think because of social media and all of this type of thing, as you guys will know, it can make you compare yourself to others very, very easily, especially if they're the same age or even younger than yourself. You might think, oh, well, this person has their life together. I should have it all figured out as well. And I also think, even though we're supposedly more interconnected because we can contact anyone at any time, I feel like actually we've become more lonely because of that. And again, it kind of feeds into this problem which I've identified as well, where yeah, there's so much out there, there's so much information, but it's like, well, how do you, yeah, how do you even process everything that's going on? I think it can be quite overwhelming for a lot of people. So I was keen to create some sort of safe space where we can just have some really fun conversations, really. I also think there's a lot of, well, there's just endless advice really on what you should be doing, especially if we take your 20s, for example. Some may even say your 30s. There's conflicting advice. Some people may say, okay, right, this is the time to knuckle down, get a degree or build your career and start building those foundations for later life. Other people may say, oh, what freedom really looks like for you and for us is building your own wealth, building your own business, and perhaps taking the entrepreneurial route. And then other people think, well, you're in your 20s, you should be traveling, you should be exploring the world because you're going to be settled down soon with a wife and kids or whatever it may be, any type of partner, really. Point being, I think all three could potentially work, but it can, again, I feel like it can be overwhelming navigating that period of your life in particular, which is why I'm super excited for this. I've got some very interesting guests lined up. I think a lot of them I've known for quite a while, and some people will be newer connections as well. And I think just getting different perspectives on life will be really, really interesting. And yeah, it's just going to be good fun. It's just going to be good fun, really. I certainly don't have all the answers myself. I've been navigating my own little journey. And on that note, as long as well as rather, these conversations I'll be having with the connections that I've made, I'm also planning on sharing some excerpts. I'm not sure if that's the right word. Some insights, really, some insights into what I've learned, what's worked for me over the years. But like I said, I don't necessarily have all the answers. So yeah, I'm hoping we can all sort of learn a lot in the process, really. In terms of what we'll be doing going forward, I'm planning on releasing content every week from now. So do stay updated. You can follow us on Instagram at the Growth Voyage podcast. And yeah, I think the plan is to also release content on YouTube as well. Have experienced some technical difficulties there, but yeah, certainly I think the majority of conversations going forward will be on that platform as well. And yeah, I would encourage everyone, if you have any feedback of any kind, would be super helpful. I'm new to this, so whether it's audio or presentation, whatever it may be, please feel free to drop me a message. And yeah, if you also had any guests you think would really be a good fit for the podcast, and on that note as well, I think everyone could be a good fit, really. I think everyone, if not everyone, then almost everyone, if you will, the majority of people will have a really interesting story to tell. And how often do people, you see them on the surface and you never really get to learn the ins and outs of their lives? So if you have any suggestions or if you'd like to come on yourself, please drop me a message. I'm all ears. I would love to sort of get in contact with you all. And yeah, in terms of the wider vision, it'd be cool if, I guess, eventually form some type of community out of this, really encourage each other to, yeah, keep going really and have fun along this journey. I think we have one life, and you may as well try as much as you can. Try stuff out. It might not work. It might work. Whatever. I think just encouraging people to, yeah, take action and just try stuff out and talk to people and share their stories. I think that'd be really cool. So yeah, again, quick one today. Just wanted to have a reference point for what this podcast is all about. But thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Take care and see you very soon.